Welcome. Today we're going to take a really close look at a career that spans 6 decades. A career that really set the standard for the American television mother.
Right.
But it was so much more than that. The scope of work was so wide that, that one iconic role can sometimes overshadow the incredible breadth of her talent.
Absolutely. We are talking about Florence Agnes Henderson.
Actress, singer, host, humanitarian. Her life story is really a compelling journey through the whole landscape of American entertainment in the 20th century.
It really is. And while almost everyone knows her for that one role, that image of warmth and, suburban perfection.
Hey, Brady.
Carol Brady, of course. But the source material we've been looking at reveals a professional history that's so rich and so versatile. She moved from the really disciplined world of the stage to variety television to hosting. It just shows an incredible adaptability in what has always been a really volatile industry.
So if you think you only know Florence Henderson as Carol Brady, we can promise you there's a really fascinating story waiting. And that's exactly what we want to do today. We want to move past that familiar image and really explore the full picture of her life, based on what the sources tell us.
It's about understanding the true scope of her work.
Right. Far beyond that 70s sitcom set. And given that today, November 24th, marks the anniversary of her passing in 2016, it just feels like the right moment to appreciate the entirety of her legacy, her professional legacy, and her personal resilience.
I think what's so insightful is when you realize that her foundational years, her early career, required this immense technical skill and dedication.
The kind of training a lot of modern actors just don't get.
Exactly. To go from originating a major role on Broadway, which demands total command of your voice, of dance, of projection, to then becoming this national TV personality who could anchor game shows and talk shows.
It shows a genuine range.
A multifaceted range that, is far too often overshadowed by that one single massive success of her sitcom character. We really have to look at how that Broadway discipline informed every single step she took after that.
Okay, so let's unpack that foundation. Let's start right at the beginning.
Her roots.
Florence Henderson was born on Valentine's Day, February 14, 1934, in Dale, Indiana. And her beginnings were, well, from everything the sources say, they were remarkably humble.
Oh, absolutely. The sources really paint a stark picture of a large Depression-era family, an environment just marked by scarcity.
She was the youngest of 10 children.
10 children, born to Elizabeth, who was a homemaker, and Joseph Henderson, a tobacco sharecropper. And what you often see in that era is that financial hardship forced families to, identify and cultivate any asset they had.
And for the Hendersons, that asset was Florence's voice.
It was her exceptional natural musical talent. It was irreplaceable.
And that's the key context here, isn't it?
Right.
It really speaks to their belief in her. Her mother saw this talent so early on, she actually started teaching her to sing at, age 2?
Age 2. And this wasn't just, singing nursery rhymes casually.
Oh.
The sources are clear that by the time she was a child, she had a repertoire of 50 songs committed to memory.
50? Imagine that. For anyone listening, just think about the discipline and the memory required to perform 50 different songs at that age.
It's astonishing.
That's early training that was clearly aimed at developing a professional skill set from the very beginning.
It says so much about how seriously her family approached this gift. It wasn't just a hobby.
No, it was a way out.
It was recognized as a potential path out of the very difficult circumstances they were in. And the sources detail that by the age of 12, she was already performing locally, specifically singing in grocery stores to earn money for her family.
So her professional life, her commitment to performance, it started so early. This wasn't some spontaneous decision to become an actress later in life.
Not at all. This was a career path that was set in motion by her environment and by her incredible talent.
So you see this incredible drive and focus right from the start. After she graduates from St. Francis Academy in Owensboro, Kentucky in 1951, She doesn't hesitate. She doesn't look for a local college or anything like that. She goes straight to New York City, the absolute epicenter of American theater.
And she was only 17 years old.
Just 17.
That decision, moving immediately to New York right out of high school, that is crucial for understanding her ambition. Her determination.
New York was the only place to be.
It was the only place where that vocal talent and that stage presence could be fully leveraged. So she enrolled in the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, a really prestigious school.
To formalize that raw talent.
Exactly, to add that technical stagecraft to her natural singing ability. And it's also interesting, just to provide some context on her social connections, the sources note she was an alumna initiate of the Alpha Chi chapter of the Delta Zeta sorority.
So she was building a network.
It shows she was maintaining connections and the structures as she was navigating this completely new, very demanding environment.
But here's the part that I think is most surprising to so many people listening, especially those who know her mainly from television reruns. It's how quickly she found success on stage.
Yes.
We often think of stars struggling for decades, right?
Yes.
But her stage career was not only immediate, it was major, critically acclaimed.
Precisely. She debuted on Broadway in the musical Wish You Were Here in 1952.
So that's almost immediate success, right out of her studies.
To get cast in a Broadway musical production in less than a year of moving to New York, it just shows that her vocal talent was truly exceptional. It was market ready.
And that was just the debut. It was just the prelude to the role that really solidified her as a legitimate star.
Right.
And this is where it gets really interesting for anyone who follows theater history or American musical comedy. Just 2 years later, 1954, she originates the title role in the musical Fanny.
And this was not a minor show.
Not at all.
Absolutely not. Fanny was a colossal hit, a huge critical success. It was based on a trilogy of Marcel Pagnol plays with a score by Harold Rome.
And it ran for a very long time.
A very impressive 888 performances. To originate the title role in a show with that kind of cultural footprint, well, that establishes you in your early 20s as a true, bankable Broadway star.
And all of this is happening 15 years before the Brady Bunch ever aired.
It's a completely different career, one defined by the rigorous demands of performing live night after night.
And her stage presence was sustained. It wasn't a one-hit wonder. The sources mention she toured extensively in a production of Oklahoma.
Right, which shows her versatility in that classic American musical theater space.
And then later she appeared in a Noel Coward musical, The Girl Who Came to Supper, in 1963. So this extensive background in theater is then validated by a pretty significant award.
Yes, the Sarah Siddons Award. She won this prestigious award in 1962 for her work in Chicago theater.
So what exactly is that award for?
The Sarah Siddons Award is given for an outstanding performance in a dramatic role in a Chicago production. And that detail is key because it proves she wasn't just a beloved singer.
She was a respected actress.
A respected, award-winning, dramatic musical actress capable of carrying regional hits. And this level of technical professionalism is really crucial context for understanding how easily she adapted later in her career.
She was trained to be ready for anything.
Exactly.
So that deep background in these demanding stage productions, it made her transition to television in the 1950s less of a pivot.
And more of a natural expansion.
Right. It wasn't about switching genres entirely. It was about moving to this new televised platform that was just hungry for polished, live-ready talent.
That's precisely right. Early television was, ravenous for musical performers who could handle live broadcasts flawlessly.
A skill honed on Broadway.
Exactly. And in 1954, just as Fanny was taking off, she appeared as Laurie in the Oklahoma segment of the General Foods 25th anniversary show, a salute to Rogers and Hammerstein.
That must have been a huge television event.
Massive. It showcased her stage expertise to a national audience practically overnight.
But her TV work wasn't just limited to musical numbers, was it?
No, not at all. She was also appearing in early, serious television dramas, which, often aired live. For instance, she was a regular presence on the United States Steel Hour,
which presented these high-quality, dramatic anthology episodes.
Correct. And this included an episodic adaptation of Mark Twain's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, where she played the character Mary Jane.
And her dramatic acting continued.
It did. She appeared in an adaptation of a Dorothy Canfield Fisher short story, playing a character named Gladys Pratt. And critically, we see an appearance in a 1950s series called I Spy.
Now, we have to clarify, this is not the famous 1960s series.
Correct. A totally different show. But this just proves she was actively seeking out varied roles, improving her dramatic range on television, all while maintaining her stage career.
And confirming her strength in musical specials, she played Meg March in a CBS TV musical adaptation of Little Women in 1958.
It was a complex role.
So this early phase of her career, the late 50s and early 60s, it just demonstrates this tireless work ethic, a willingness to take on any role, really, across stage and screen.
Whether it was a glamorous title role or a demanding dramatic supporting part. And this brings us to a huge, often overlooked fact about her career.
I think I know what you're referring to.
It puts her directly at the forefront of American late-night television history. It's a fact that shows her competence went way beyond just acting or singing.
You were talking about The Tonight Show. In 1962, Florence Henderson became the first woman ever to guest host the program.
The first woman ever.
And for you, the listener, we really need to contextualize the significance of that time period.
Think about the atmosphere in 1962. It was during that critical transition period after Jack Paar had left the show.
Right.
And before Johnny Carson began his legendary 30-year run in October of that year, the network was, testing the waters, filling time slots, assessing talent.
And seeing who could handle the immense pressure of live late-night television.
And she stepped into that huge gap, a gap that many major male comedians and performers couldn't fill permanently. And she proved herself capable of handling all the demands of late-night hosting.
The interviewing skills, the improvisation.
Keeping the audience engaged. It was an environment that was almost exclusively male-dominated at the time.
For her to succeed in that role,
Yeah.
it just spoke volumes about how respected and reliable she was as a broadcaster.
This experience raises such an important point about her overall public persona and her skill set. She wasn't just a stage star who was photogenic for TV.
No, she was a highly competent, quick-witted broadcaster, a presenter.
Which is further evident in her frequently substituting for Dave Garroway on The Today Show. She acted as a Today girl, doing weather segments and light news pieces.
A role that required both professionalism and approachability.
Totally.
And just to give that Today Girl role some more context, that position was also famously held by Barbara Walters at one point.
That's right. It means she occupied the same chair, performing the same duties, as a woman who would go on to become one of the most respected figures in television news history.
It just confirms she was a true media polymath in the early 1960s.
And she was leveraging her singing ability at the same time. She released albums under the prestigious RCA Victor label, capitalizing on her Broadway fame.
Of course.
She made appearances on highly watched variety programs, which were, the standard entertainment of the era. Shows like The Dean Martin Show in '68 and the long-running musical showcase, The Voice of Firestone.
So by the end of the 1960s, she had this full-service national celebrity career happening.
A career built on stage discipline, hosting competence, and musical talent. All of this was well before she moved into the permanent, iconic role that would ultimately define her public identity.
And then, in 1969, everything just crystallized with the casting of Carol Ann Brady in the Brady Bunch.
Mm-hmm.
The sitcom ran until 1974, produced 117 episodes, and it just cemented her image globally as the quintessential, loving, and, utterly unflappable mother figure.
It's truly impossible to do a complete analysis of her career without acknowledging the enormous cultural weight and the staying power of this one character.
Absolutely. The sitcom, despite its often sort of tepid initial critical reception.
Right. It wasn't a huge hit at first.
It grew into one of the most recognizable and enduring programs in TV history, especially through syndication.
And a lot of that longevity is because of the emotional stability, the warmth, and the sincerity she brought to that role. The mother of a newly blended family. She was the center of gravity.
And speaking of casting, there is a fascinating anecdotal connection in the sources about this. It really highlights how small the entertainment world was at the time.
Especially for female musical stage stars.
Exactly.
Yes, the delightful near miss. Her friend, a fellow Broadway star and peer, Shirley Jones, was actually offered the role of Carol Brady first.
And she declined it.
She declined it, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she was wary of signing a long-term TV contract. And then Shirley Jones famously went on to accept a very similar role the next year.
The widowed single mother with 5 kids, Shirley Partridge in the Partridge Family.
Both actresses, coming from that disciplined world of musical theater, ended up defining the perfect TV mom archetype for an entire generation.
That detail really makes you consider how much the landscape of family television was shifting at that time, in the late 60s and early 70s.
Towards these non-traditional or blended family structures.
Exactly. The industry seemed to be looking for mature, talented, and inherently trustworthy actresses to anchor these new kinds of families, and Florence Henderson fit that mold perfectly.
And the enduring legacy of Carol Brady just speaks for itself. The sources note that primarily due to the universal affection and recognition from this role, TV Land and Entertainment Weekly ranked her number 54 on their list of the 100 greatest TV icons.
And that's not just a measure of popularity, is it?
No, it's a measurement of the character's cultural persistence and the powerful, lasting emotional connection the audience has had with her specific portrayal.
But what's really notable about her career, compared to other actors who, they struggle to escape a famous role, is how she actively participated in extending that legacy rather than fighting it. She never seemed to resent the role. She embraced it again and again through all the sequels and specials.
She allowed the audience to continue growing up with the Brady family.
This is a critical point about her business savvy. She understood the brand value of Carol Brady. And the Brady family, well, they truly never faded from the airwaves.
No, we saw the Brady Bunch Hour in 76 and 77, which was this bizarre variety show format.
A strange one, yeah.
And that was followed by multiple reunion movies and limited series for decades. The Brady Girls Get Married in 81, The Brady Brides that same year.
The incredibly popular A Very Brady Christmas in 1988.
And then finally the more dramatic, serialized reboot, The Bradys, in 1990.
She was so dedicated to keeping that story alive across decades and genres. And interestingly, she even lent her vocal talents to the franchise in a new way, singing the third version of the Brady's theme song for that 1990 series.
That level of commitment to all the different versions of the family brand is pretty unique in television history.
And when the inevitable meta-revival and parody film came along in the mid-90s, she still participated.
But in a really self-aware and fun way. In the Brady Bunch movie in 1995, she didn't try to reprise the role of Carol Brady. She let Shelley Long step in for the parody.
Right. Instead, she made this memorable cameo as Carol's mother, the original grandma.
It was a clever, generational nod to the franchise's icon status, while gracefully acknowledging the humor of the revival.
It allowed her to stay connected without undermining the sincerity of her original performance.
The commitment it took to return to that same core role over 2 decades, navigating all those format shifts, from comedy to variety to dramatic Christmas movies, it's just a profound testament to her professional loyalty. And frankly, her sharp business acumen. She knew the cultural value of the Brady brand.
She recognized that the audience wanted Carol Brady to be a comforting fixture in their lives.
And she was happy to provide that comfort.
The moment the Brady Bunch wrapped its original run in 1974, Florence Henderson, who was already a star with decades of experience...
You didn't slow down.
Not at all. She didn't wait for the next project. She immediately pivoted to become one of the most visible and reliable faces on American television, especially in the competitive world of daytime game shows.
This phase of her career, through the mid-70s and 80s, really showcases her competitive streak, her quick wit, and her ability to think on her feet.
The game show circuit required panelists to be engaging, intelligent, and entertaining on the fly.
And she was a frequent, sought-after, and highly reliable presence in that whole ecosystem.
When you look at the sheer volume of her game show work, it's genuinely impressive. And it speaks to her reliability as a working professional. She was a frequent panelist on the original Hollywood Squares.
How many episodes was it?
A staggering 96 episodes. For you listening, if you remember that show, that means nearly 100 times she was sitting in one of those famous cubes, delivering funny lines, some pre-written, some improvised.
And that's just one program. She recognized the economic value and the visibility of game shows. She also made appearances on the $25,000 Pyramid,
where her quick word association skills were tested.
Password and the massive hit, The Original Match Game. This constant exposure kept her absolutely current and highly accessible to the public throughout the 70s and 80s.
It ensured she never disappeared from the public consciousness.
Exactly.
She was also on the classic What's My Line, where she served as both a panelist trying to guess the profession and sometimes as the celebrity mystery guest herself.
And to tell the truth, of course.
And her competitive streak was really evident on Family Feud's All-Star Weeks, where her Brady team, reunited for charity, finished in a respectable second place.
Her success on these shows required more than just fame. It required personality and dependability. The fact that producers invited her back so often on so many different formats shows they knew she would deliver.
That necessary combination of wholesomeness and quick-witted fun.
Right. And beyond the game shows, she became absolutely synonymous with major American consumer brands. She took on these long-term corporate associations that were highly lucrative and further reinforced her public image.
As this trustworthy, warm, wholesome figure. It was kind of an extension of the Carol Brady character, but applied to real-world products.
The most notable example, which I think a lot of listeners will remember distinctly, is Wesson Oil.
Oh, yes.
She served as their spokeswoman for a massive stretch of time, from 1974 all the way to 1996.
Over 2 decades.
Think about that. Over 2 decades associated with one cooking product. That's a feat of endorsement longevity you rarely, if ever, see in modern advertising.
And that association just solidified her image as the authority on family cooking and home life.
And the endorsements didn't stop there. Continuing to leverage that trustworthy image into later decades in the 2000s, she became the spokeswoman for Polident.
Polident, right.
But what makes this phase so compelling is, well, the realization documented in the sources that she had a fantastic sense of humor about her own meticulously crafted, wholesome reputation.
Yes, she was brilliant at leveraging that image while also subverting it for comedic effect when the opportunity came up.
We see this perfectly in 2003 when she appeared in that Pepsi Twist commercial alongside the ultimate rock rebel, Ozzy Osbourne.
I remember that commercial. The whole joke was pairing the ultimate TV mom with the chaotic frontman of Black Sabbath.
And she clearly demonstrated that she was fully in on the joke. It showed a surprising layer of comedic self-awareness.
And that willingness to evolve and laugh at her own fame led her into yet another successful chapter of her career, the hosting era, where she began focusing on these long-form lifestyle and talk shows in her later years, capitalizing on her natural warmth and exceptional interviewing skills.
And her decades of experience just being comfortable in front of a camera. This started with cooking shows, which was a natural fit.
Leveraging that Wesson Oil association.
Exactly. She hosted Country Kitchen on TNN, and later, starting in 2013, she hosted Who's Cooking with Florence Henderson on Retirement Living TV, or RLTV.
Proving she could successfully translate her persona into a lifestyle brand that appealed to specific audiences.
And she also returned to the daytime talk show format she'd pioneered decades earlier.
Guest hosting The Tonight Show and The Today Show.
Right. She co-hosted Later Today from 1999 to 2000. And then, from 2007 to 2009, she co-hosted Living Live, which was so popular and so centered on her
that they eventually reworked it and renamed it The Florence Henderson Show,
to focus entirely on her. And this final chapter as a host proved she wasn't just resting on her past fame, she was committed to delivering new content. The Florence Henderson Show was actually nominated for an Emmy Award in 2010.
recognizing the quality of her work as a contemporary host.
And her excellence in this specific field was officially recognized with 2 Gracie Awards, one in 2008 and another in 2012, both for Outstanding Host in the Information or Entertainment category.
Which confirms that Florence Henderson, late in her career, was professionally recognized not just as a nostalgic figurehead, but as a skilled, award-winning host in her own right.
It completes this versatile cycle that began with Broadway and variety television.
So moving from her extensive professional achievements, let's look at the sources detailing her personal life, specifically her 2 marriages and the family that, provided a grounding force amid the chaos of a 6-decade career.
Her first marriage was to Ira Bernstein in 1956. They had 4 children together, 3 boys and a daughter, and they were married for almost 30 years.
They divorced in 1985. It's often cited that 3 of her children worked in show business, continuing that family tradition.
And it's worth noting that her oldest daughter, Barbara Bernstein, even appeared in 3 episodes of The Brady Bunch during its run.
She also proudly had 5 grandchildren, extending that lovely lady family status into her real life.
Her second marriage to Dr. John George Kappas in 1987 has a really deeply personal and compassionate story attached to it, as the sources outline.
It's a narrative that reveals a necessary vulnerability behind that seemingly perfect, unflappable facade she projected on screen.
Yes, and this is a crucial piece of context that we should discuss with the respect it deserves. She met Dr. Kappas, who was a respected clinical hypnotherapist, when she actively sought his help.
He was treating her for 2 significant personal struggles that often haunt performers: depression and severe stage fright,
which she experienced in the early 1980s.
That detail requires some careful reflection. It really speaks to the immense hidden pressures that someone who projected such constant cheerfulness must have faced behind the scenes.
To maintain the image of the perfect, happy mother while battling personal mental health issues and a professional hurdle like stage fright, it must have been profoundly difficult.
And her willingness to seek help, and then to ultimately marry the man who helped her through that struggle.
It's a deeply humanizing detail, and a testament to the depth and honesty of their relationship. They remained married until his death in 2002.
And while she was this deeply public figure, she also maintained very personal and abiding connections, particularly to her faith and her origins in Indiana.
This is most evident in her long-standing and dedicated commitment to charity, which she channeled through her celebrity. She became a significant public benefactor to the Sisters of St. Benedict in Ferdinand, Indiana.
And this wasn't just some casual celebrity tie. This connection was deeply rooted because some of the nuns at the convent had actually been her early educators and mentors.
She never forgot the foundation they provided for her.
And she consistently put her celebrity to work for them in highly effective ways. She appeared in promotional videos, she participated in fundraising efforts.
And most strategically, she used her game show appearances to secure funds for the sisters' causes.
She won money for them on the competition show Weakest Link.
And, notably, she secured a substantial sum, winning $32,000 on a classic TV-themed episode of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in 2001.
And this commitment carried a degree of seriousness and integrity that she would not compromise, which we see documented in her reality TV appearances.
Right, when she appeared on the show The Surreal Life, which was often absurdist,
very stylized.
She was asked to participate in a comedy skit that involved wearing a nun's habit for laughs, and she refused.
She professionally and phonely drew a line when it came to her faith and her benefactors. She showed that she viewed her relationship with the Sisters of St. Benedict with immense respect and would not allow it to be trivialized for reality TV entertainment.
That integrity says a lot about her character, beyond the roles she played.
As she moved into her later career, she seemed to take this immense joy in surprising the audience, embracing pop culture guest roles and cameos that ensured her continued relevance.
And showed her willingness to be self-deprecating and fun. She really demonstrated that she was willing to go anywhere the audience was.
Her guest spots were truly everywhere, showing her widespread, multi-generational appeal. She appeared on My Fair Brady, the reality show with her former co-star Christopher Knight,
proving she enjoyed linking back to the Brady world in a modern context.
And then, of course, the high-profile reality show, The Surreal Life, where she was a full cast member interacting with much younger, often more outrageous celebrity.
She really embraced all corners of the entertainment industry, including the truly unexpected, like professional wrestling.
I forgot about that. In 2010, she was a guest host for WWE Raw,
presiding over the whole spectacle, which seems entirely at odds with her public persona, but just shows her adaptability and sense of fun.
She was also a brilliant sport, appearing in the famous Weird Al Yankovic music video for his parody song Amish Paradise.
And who could forget her appearance on the improvisational comedy show, whose line is it?
Anyway, she fully participated in the chaos. There was one very famous segment where she engaged in on-screen kisses with the improvisers Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery.
Further playing against that prim and proper image, this willingness to be a good sport cemented her status as a genuine comedic presence, not just a straight woman.
Her voice work also kept her current and relevant to younger audiences. She voiced Aunt Ginny on the popular children's show Handy Manny.
And notably, she played the character Nanny Barbara on The Cleveland Show. In that specific animated episode, Nanny Barbara helps Cleveland realize that it doesn't matter who others perceive him to be, as long as he accepts himself.
That's a poignant message, delivered by a woman who had spent decades expertly managing her own complex and beloved public image.
Outside of scripted and reality roles, she created this deeply rooted tradition in the world of American sports.
Starting in the mid-1990s, she regularly performed God Bless America at the Indianapolis 500.
Often accompanied by the Purdue All-American Marching Band. This was at the request of the Holman George family, who owned the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
And it really cemented her status as an enduring Indiana icon, connecting her fame all the way back to our humble roots.
And if that wasn't enough to demonstrate her vitality and her commitment to living actively in her later years, she took on a major physical challenge for a 76-year-old.
Becoming a contestant on Dancing with the Stars.
Yes, she was a contestant on season 11 in 2010, partnered with Corky Ballas. She was 76 years old at the time of the competition.
Which shows immense courage, stamina, and a willingness to learn a physically demanding new craft in the full public spotlight.
She was the 5th contestant eliminated, which is a highly respectable run, especially considering the physical challenges of the competition, compared to much younger participants.
It was a visible, inspiring demonstration of her commitment to embracing new challenges, even late in life. And that vitality is why the final details and the sources about her passing are so particularly difficult to process.
Because it was so incredibly sudden.
Her death came as a shock to everyone who knew her and admired her active schedule. She died on November 24th, 2016 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. She was 82.
According to her manager, Caleb Pressman, she had been hospitalized just the day before, and the cause was heart failure.
And Pressman stated firmly that Henderson was not ill prior to her sudden hospitalization,
emphasizing that her death was indeed a profound shock. And given her active schedule, including Dancing with the Stars just 6 years earlier, and her constant hosting work, the abruptness of her departure makes the loss feel particularly profound, and we extend our sympathy.
There is a truly poignant detail regarding her final public appearance. Just 3 days before she died, she attended a taping of Dancing with the Stars live in the audience to support her friend and former on-screen daughter, Maureen McCormick, who was a contestant.
It perfectly illustrates her sustained personal connection to those she had worked with and the vibrant, engaged life she led right up until the very end.
She was cremated, and her ashes were interred at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles.
A final resting place that reflects her long association with the entertainment industry, but one that came far too soon for someone who is clearly still working, thriving, and embracing every new opportunity that came her way.
So as we look back across these 6 decades, the sources really affirm that while Carol Brady is unquestionably her most known character and the source of her deepest cultural footprint,
her professional reality was one of immense and highly successful versatility.
It was truly remarkable. Her memoir, Life is Not a Stage, From Broadway Baby to a Lovely Lady and Beyond, which came out in 2011, really encapsulates this professional scope.
It does. She seamlessly navigated the shift from dramatic stage roles in hits like Fanny to comedy, hosting, long-term product endorsements, variety television, game show panelist.
She didn't just survive in every medium she entered, she mastered them. She received awards for her excellence in multiple fields.
And as a final note that powerfully connects her celebrity back to her origins and the love for her home state, she's uniquely honored in Indiana.
With the Florence Henderson Stakes.
Right. A horse race designed specifically for fillies and mares born and bred in Indiana, held annually since 2004.
It's a powerful, tangible tribute to her lasting impact beyond the screen, celebrated in the state that gave her that crucial early start.
We've spent a great deal of time analyzing how Florence Henderson managed not only to handle the fame of Carol Brady, but how she consistently returned to the character that made her famous.
Through all the reunion specials, the cameos, even a movie parody.
All while building a separate, successful career as a host and panelist. And this raises an important question for you, the listener, and for the industry at large. When an actor's defining role is so widely beloved and profoundly successful, is the subsequent professional challenge more about urgently diversifying their portfolio to prove their range?
Or is it more strategically beneficial to embrace the public's enduring desire for that character and build upon that established trust?
Her career suggests she successfully managed the incredibly difficult feat of doing both at the same time. She proved her versatility while honoring the love the public held for her most famous creation.
Something important to think about the next time you see her on screen.
Thanks for listening.